This is A Touch of Sparkle by Monica. I am going to make Valentine themed earrings using duct tape. This is the first time I've ever made it, so let's get started. I'm going to be working with some scissors that I don't care for them to get sticky because we're going to be working with duct tape. I've got some little craft scissors, some seed beads in Valentine's color, some duct tape in Valentine themes, and I got this at the Dollar Tree. I've got 3 different sizes of heart-shaped hole punches. This largest size is a 2-inch. Then I have a 1.5 inch and a 1 inch. And I may not use all these sizes. I think I'm going to use some wax paper in between the layers of my duct tape, just so that it cuts down on the amount of sticky that I might get onto my hole punches if you're planning on using the hole punches for other things. And since I don't have one of those lovely little measured cutting squares or whatever it is, I'll have to look it up. So I just cut a, I believe it was a 16 by 12 piece of my wax paper and threw it down there just so I can keep the duct tape from sticking to my table. And then I just cut another small piece, which I'm actually going to use to layer in the duct tape, which was about a 13 by 12. And I'm going to cut off bits of the duct tape and use the wax paper as the backing, then fold it over so that I can have a double-sided image. I cut out about a 5-inch strip of duct tape onto a piece of my wax paper. Just folded it over to where I had it in half, so it's 2.5 inches on each. I decided to use my 1.5 inch heart hole punch, and it has a little viewer. Most punches do on the underside. So what I'm going to do is just kind of play around, poking that into the viewer until I find whatever design I want to show up on the earring that I'm going to make, and then punch it out. And that's what I got. And it's double-sided. Now, as you're messing with this, if you make a mistake, because it's the wax paper, it'll peel right up. It is a longer one. It's 9.5 inches, so that gives me about 4.25 inches to play with. For me, it's just easier to work with smaller strips at a time. I have hole punched several hearts. Anyway, there are little pieces of the duct tape that didn't come out quite clear enough. Just take my scissors and trim them. Here are 4 of the little 1-inch hearts where I've already punched them out, and I added some glitter glue. A couple of different ways to make holes in these. I've got a regular hole punch here. Another way I tried is with my tool. It's called a Euro punch, and it is round 1.8 millimeter. This is actually something that I use for my bottle cap, which is perfect for a jump ring. The last way I've tried is using my bead reamer. This is just your average little bead reamer, and it's sort of like feels like a rough nail file on the metal part. Normally you put those in the centers of a bead or a pearl that the hole hasn't been drilled all the way through. And you can see it makes a little hole. That is the bead reamer. That is the hole punch. And that is the bottle cap. So depending on the look that you're going for, the size of the hole that you created in the heart, you will be using different sized jump rings. These tiny ones can be used for the ones where I did a hole using that small bead reamer. Then the next one is 4mm jump ring. And then you have the large, which is, I believe this is an 8mm. I will be using some of these that have eye pins on the end. And then I'm going to also make some where I don't have a loop on the end, so the seed beads will just be going onto that head pin. It doesn't matter which direction. Now, this is the way that it will be on your ear. Now notice, because I didn't put anything else, this is what shows out of the front of someone's ears when they're wearing the earring. I'm going to add one of these smaller jump rings to give another bit of length so that this heart will rest like this once it's in someone's ear. Here's one pair that I have put on a seed bead dangle. So in order to make these bead dangles, I'm using a head pin, an eye pin, which has that little loop on the end, and I'm just going to put some beads on it. Got a pair of Wubber's pliers, looping pliers. Gonna get it to where it's at the end of my bead. Just squeeze down to where it makes a fold. Then I'm gonna reposition. Do the same thing. Now I'm almost to the top. I am to the top now. Now I'm going to come back around and just make a little bend where it looks like that. And all I did was just turn it around, flip it around, grab the tail, and pull it. Because I don't have a huge amount of space in between the beads and the tail, I'm going to then cut that little bit of tail off with my flush cutters. Kind of keep your thumb over that tail as you're cutting it, that way it doesn't fly up and hit you in the eye. And then I just used my bent nose pliers to bend that little tail in to finish off the loop. I'm going to show you on a regular size jump ring. A lot of people open these incorrectly. This is the regular sized, it's a 4mm jump ring, and there's a little opening here. I'm going to get to either side of that opening. With my right hand, since I'm right-handed, I'm going to pull towards me like that. Because if you pull it this way, horizontally away from you, you're going to completely distort the round shape of the jump ring. I have these teeny tiny jump rings. Same principle. The teeny tiny jump ring I am feeding through the heart that I already hole punched. I'm putting the end, which is the bottom end loop, onto the heart. Then I gotta close. Same way. You're just the same way that you pulled it apart. You're closing it by whichever end, whichever side you're more comfortable with. The little embellishments, I'm going to put them on with the jeweler's glue. And I have different kinds. You can use E6000 if you have it. I don't have that. I've got something called Dazzle Tack jewelry glue. You can also use hot glue. So this morning I checked my glittery hearts and they had dried. I did my punching with the bead reamer. However, I did have a problem. As soon as you start to put the pressure with the bead reamer onto the duct tape that has the glitter edge, the glitter glue edge wanted to come off, as evidenced by this lovely little heart right here. The next time I'll just go ahead and punch the holes into the little pieces that I want to put glitter glue on, and also go ahead and feed your jump ring. That way you don't have any pressure applied to them after the fact when the glue has dried. You could actually do this with any duct tape designs that you have. So if you just want to make some really quick earrings, then you don't have to do all the blingy stuff that I did. If you don't have those heart-shaped punches, then you can just use parchment paper to trace out a design and cut the duct tape to whatever shape that you prefer.